Hello and welcome to the Writing Community Chat Show. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Writing Community Chat Show for our second interview this week, the second of four, which is really exciting. And we've got a great guest on for you tonight. And I'm sure if you know this person, you'll be really interested in this. And if you don't, then you've got someone new you can follow and check out. Chris, how are you doing in the week so far? We're nearly at Friday, and it's been a long week for us both. I know that, but how are you doing?
Yeah, we were talking just before the show. We both had various different trials and tribulations this week. Obviously, I missed Tuesday's interview because I went out after 6 weeks of not playing football, and I've torn my calf or my ACL. I'm not too sure yet, but it means I am pretty much in a chair for 95% of my day now, which is not fun.
Yeah. It's that kind of, we're getting to that middle-aged era, and strenuous exercise perhaps isn't the best thing. And I had a blowout on the way home to add to an already interesting week. So yes, blowout meaning my tire popped, if you don't know what that means. Anya says, sorry, Huli, ouch. Yeah, it does sound like a painful one, buddy.
Yeah, when a part of your leg feels like it bursts and then it just feels like hot jelly, that's not fun. So yeah, I think I'll just stick to reading. It's the best leisure activity you could do. It requires no pain. I've never had so much as a paper cut from reading. So I think I'm just going to lean into that a little bit.
I think you've put it out there now. That might happen.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you'll have to let us know. With the two shows tomorrow we have planned, one that we wanted to get out there in the public, live streamed, won't be live streamed, unfortunately for you guys. It's a really good big guest, and we have to wait for the book release to release the interview. So we'll pre-record that tomorrow, but our show at 8 p.m. with Adele Parks will also be live like tonight. So you can tune in for that as well. She's celebrating her release, which is today. 25 years, 25 bestsellers. Incredible. We've had her on before, ironically the day after a release last time when she was a little hungover. So I'll be interested to see how hungover she is tomorrow. But yes, we've got some great things going on. We want to know how your week is going. Have you been writing? And are you reading something new? If you are, let us know. But yeah, apart from that, anything else, Chris, before we get a guest on?
Yeah, I mean, I have been doing a little bit of writing. I've been doing a bit of poetry.
Nice.
I got a Rubik's Cube because, like I said, I was sat down and tried to master that. So couldn't do it. I've done about halfway of the cube, and then it just all goes completely wrong. But I've tried, and anyway, that inspired me to write a poem about a Rubik's Cube.
Wow.
That's what I did today.
Yeah. So, if I was to write about a poem about a Rubik's Cube, they'd be probably full of swear words. Anya says her week's been busy with school stuff, but I did add to my work in progress. So well done for doing that as well. Yeah, it's good to see people are getting their work done.
People are getting their work done. Obviously, we have a book to talk about today as well, which is fantastic. If you're into dark vampire romances, you'll definitely dig this one. So yeah, hopefully we're going to have a really good conversation and maybe pick up a few tips as well, Chris.
Yes, definitely. We would like to know about your week, but also what you can do in the comments, in the chat, is, first of all, speak to each other, because that's a great thing to do, and build the community like that. But you can ask questions throughout the show, and we've got a designated section for the questions at the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't, and leave some comments in there as well, because that'll help like-minded people find the show. Noel, thank you already. Great book. Brilliant. You should do a Rubik's Cube completion. It's very difficult. But there you go.
Yeah. Cool. I did it. Right. It took me about 7 hours.
Oh, you have done it?
Yeah, I've done it once.
Oh, I've never done it. Okay, let me get tonight's guest on, and we'll get into a good conversation, everybody. So we are joined by an author who's been making waves in fantasy and romance with a darkly addictive stories and she has carved out her own space in the world of romantasy, blending vampires, mythology, and high-stakes romance into unforgettable tales. Her latest book, Chris is showing it off, The Serpent's Bride, launches today, and it kicks off a powerful new vampire mafia series filled with vengeance, intrigue, and forbidden love. Kat has already built a loyal following of readers who can't get enough of her morally grey characters and page-turning twists. Whether you've been a follower of Kat's work for a while, or you're just discovering her amazing stories tonight, let's give a huge, warm welcome to Kat and Kingsley. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I have an old-fashioned, which is my favorite. You told me I could drink on this, so I was not going to say no. So,
yeah,
there we go. How can
I love that.
Yeah, it's 3 in the afternoon here, so it's 8 p.m. somewhere.
That's true, but 3 o'clock is a great time to start drinking. I think the older you get, the earlier you want to start, the earlier you want to go to bed. I think that's kind of a rule.
Yeah, and it's a Friday for my day job, so there you go.
Ooh, perfect. So it's a Friday for your day job. You've got a nice drink in your hand, and it's launch day. How are you feeling about that?
I am so excited. Literally, I've been working on this book for over a year. And so it's funny because I had finished this manuscript probably January. So it's surreal to me that it's coming out now. And like, that's sometimes how slow traditional publishing can work, that you're like, oh, I finished the proofs of that in January and everyone is just now getting into it. And I'm like, oh, right, that book. Right. Like I'm 20,000 words into the final book of the series. And so sometimes I have to like go back and refresh my memory about what happens. So it is so exciting though, because you get so far ahead that sometimes you lose attachment to how exciting these things are. And then when it comes out, you see everybody get all excited again, and it's like a kid at Christmas again. You get to see all the readers get jacked up about like reading the book for the first time, and you're like, oh right, yeah, that thing I did was pretty cool, right?
Yeah, very cool, and congratulations. It's great to start a new series and to get through all your work and then to start something new like that. And it's amazing to hear you're already going through book 3 of the series, so that must be very exciting. But what we want to do just before we do that is kind of dig into you a little more. Comment just came up from Noel. Hope you're having a great publication day. And thank you for the graveyard video, which I did see. That was very fun on Instagram.
It was literally me wandering around in a circle for a half an hour, just filming bloopers of myself. I'm too old for selfie videos. And so I'm just like, what am I doing right now?
The first thing I tend to ask people is where are you coming from? Where do you live at the moment?
So this is Hanover, Massachusetts. This home that I'm in is 300 years old.
Wow.
Built in 1727. Tilting the camera up, you can see the cool beams in the ceiling, and the wood walls are all like to 18 to 20 inch wide wood. I know this, like, you guys are in England, you're like, yes, my garage was built in 1487. It's a different level of old. But for America, it's older than our country, to put it in perspective. So it's really fun. And so we love this kind of stuff, my husband and I. You can see the red coat up over our head, and this fire back here that came with the house is actually from, we think, 1686.
Wow.
Or a little bit older than that. So somebody brought this from England, we believe. We're super into history, which plays less into the books that I write than you'd think. Historical fiction requires so much very specific research. And I know so many historians that will call me out on my shit. That I'm always afraid to write really accurate historical fiction. Like, my husband is the creative director of the Boston Tea Party Ships and Museum. And he's like, when are you going to write a pirate romance? And I'm like, literally never, because I will not hear the end of it.
That's brilliant. So in your local area, do you connect with your readers and your writers locally? Is like a local community there?
It's funny. I know that they're around. I know that they're here, but it's writing can often be, and this is what I love what you guys do. Writing can often be such a lonely experience. Like we're kind of afraid to talk to each other, and I don't know why. And so I wish I could find more of the people in my area that write in my genre. Like one thing that I just learned that other writers do, sometimes my hands go faster than my brain, so I will repeat words in a manuscript like the or he,
Yeah.
and I thought I was having an aneurysm, and I'm like, I must be the only person who does this. And I recently found out, like, no, that's just normal. The hardware goes faster than the software.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I feel better about this now. And this is why I feel like more writers really need to just talk to each other, even if it's just a, you know, AA support group.
Oh, I agree with you on that one. I do the same, and I've definitely been caught out with that once or twice. Yes, brilliant. So let's rewind the tape a bit. At what point did writing become a spark in your brain?
Oh, since I was young, I always was writing stories, and I started, like, I think a lot of writers are sometimes afraid to admit that they started in fan fiction, playing in somebody else's sandbox. And I realized as I started making more and more excuses for building my own world inside somebody else's sandbox, it was finally time to sort of knock the walls off the edges and go out into my own world. I think my first book that I published like 12 years ago that I've unpublished now because it was terrible. Because it was like I was afraid to write romance, like a lot of people are, because there's such a stigma still around it. It's getting better as time goes on. And then, but it just, even when I was like, I don't know, 15, 16 years old, I was always jotting down fiction stories. I was always, keeping a notepad open and writing down ideas, telling stories to myself in my head as I fell asleep. And so it was always something that I dreamt of doing. And I never really thought it would be something that I could do full time or something that I could do even as a side hobby. And to be able to do it now, both as a day job for a video game and as a novelist, and be able to do both is just wild. And it's two very different, distinct worlds of writing that both complement each other and are very different from each other in the same way.
I'm going to take you back then, because obviously you mentioned about writing romance and playing in somebody else's sandbox. So I'm going to a twofold question. Whose sandbox were you playing in, and why did you want to start writing romance?
Castlevania is where I started, actually. And it actually hooks into, people ask me why I write villain romance, and specifically villains with a capital V, and why I call it different than, say, like dark romance. And so all of the stories that I write feature villains that are sort of melodramatic and very spectacular in a kind of way. They all have a real sort of characteristic about them that is overblown, sort of, to a way that you could say, here's the thing. I coined at a friend of mine once that my books are for people who were sexually confused by Freddy Krueger, not Jeffrey Dahmer. And I'm going to stick to that. They're kind of horror movies, not true crime. And I figured this out once, very early in my novel writing career, because as I was writing a book that featured as I was writing a book featuring an undead magician, he had done horrible things. He had possessed a kid and made him hang himself. He had thrown the mean female character into a body pit and left her there until she screamed herself unconscious. And then at the penultimate scene, he reeled back and slapped the woman. The hate mail I received about the slap was unreal. And I was like, what is it about the slap that triggered people, where the crazy murder and unhinged stuff that he had done before then hadn't? And I realized the fantasy violence was fine because it was a horror movie. the real life violence that can happen to people day to day, that kind of abusive stuff, no, not in my books. And so that's why I call myself villain romance and not dark romance. So a lot of the stuff that you can find in your typical mafia romance or typical like biker romance that a lot of dark romance authors can get away with isn't for my audience and isn't for my genre. My guys are much more Dracula, and that's where the Castlevania stuff comes in, where the very first time I ever saw a real villain romance was in Castlevania Symphony of the Night for PlayStation, where Dracula is shown to have a non-problematic romantic relationship with a female human woman named Lisa. She has not been turned into a vampire. She's not evil. She just wanted to be a doctor. She was going about her merry old business, living in a castle with a bunch of monsters who are all killing people doing their thing. And she died because of a bunch of actions of a human, like the humans in town. And I'm like, where's that love story? Where's that novel? What's their deal? How did that happen? Like, where's that? Why is there no fiction about that? And I went looking for those books, and those books didn't exist. So I was like, huh, okay, I guess I'm going to have to make my own. And so I set out trying to make villain romance a whole genre where it was truly where villains stay villains, where the bad guy gets the girl and stays the bad guy. But they are bad guys in a really melodrama kind of horror movie kind of way that you would see from, you know, the movies of the 80s or from typical like gothic romance type of stuff. They're all very fun. And it's horror and it's overblown, but it's like in one of my Dracula duets, he cuts off a guy's hand and like makes the guy eat it. And it's like, yeah, it's gross and it's horrifying and it's scary, but it's not something you would read about in the Sunday newspaper about some guy, like maybe in extremely rare cases, but it's meant to sort of be fantasy and for fun. So that's sort of like the line that I sort of draw between the two. And I think when I stray too far into realism, it really sort of puts off my audience.
So what I find interesting there is when people tend to write something that's not out there already, it's quite hard to build up that following, unlike you have. So did you find it a difficult thing to try and build that author base and profile with a new kind of area of writing?
I have a smaller audience, but they are a dedicated audience. So I have like a small group of very loyal readers, and then I have series that will either pop off or not. And so I have books that will be very successful because they hit at a time or they don't. But I have a core group of people that like live on my Discord with me that will be there with me till I like, you know, throw in the towel. And so I have a very loyal, very small group of followers that are slowly building as time goes on. But, you know, someone came in and screamed in all caps, like, Simon is my favorite person. Like, that's one of the main villains. That guy. Yep. Thank you, Minar. Simon is one of the main characters from one of my most popular series. And Raziel and Nadi are the ones that are in, you know, this book that just came out today. So people tend to find me from one book and then just demolish my backlog.
Which is the beauty of having a catalog and a new series as well, because that can happen.
Yeah. So it's tough being like your little niche, being like the island of like, I'm my own genre. Every once in a while I look at the people that are just like, I write cowboy romance, and that's like just what they do. And I'm just like, I wish I made 7 figures a year churning out cowboy romance, but that's not what I write. And I can't fake it. It's not in me. This is not in me.
Yeah. So you mentioned as well with this series being a trilogy. Was that always the plan, or did you just write one book and then think, oh, this has got legs to go elsewhere?
It was always the intention to make it a trilogy. I'm not very good at standalones. Even when I'm like, I'm gonna write a standalone, whoops, they're all connected. Like, I try so hard. I can't do it. And I found that, like, especially with my audience, they're always expecting a connected universe and no else, like no cowboy romance. But what about Western? Can we dark Western, Noelle? How do you feel about that?
I think we can do dark anything. I think I love when there's darkness involved in that sort of element that takes you away from the reality and puts you into an escapism.
No dark Western. Damn it.
But yeah, I think so. Why not?
Yeah.
I was hooked with the pirate aspect, to be honest. I know you dismissed the bad pirates, but I was like,
I do love me a pirate. I just laugh because my husband's gonna have to be sitting there like taking notes, being like, "That's not a yardarm, that's a spar." Like, oh no.
I think you're right though, because there is that pressure. You look at Andy Weir and doing all the stuff he does in the space world, and the accuracy he's got with that work. It must be an enormous pressure if you haven't got that scientific or research kind of ability to try and produce something that you think people will be happy with.
I mean, the other benefit is I have the guy who like is the resident expert on like just the clipper ship traders for like, so I could just go ask him, be like, so what's the difference between this and that? But you know,
yes, pirates, it's on its way.
Yeah. And I love it when the villains get the girl.
It's fun too, because like if you go out and you get a normal like bad guy gets the girl, it's like, oh, the first time that they get together, he's suddenly now like redeemed and is suddenly, because it's always hard to keep them the bad guy, and that is something that is hard to maintain. Like I have a problem of like over reliance on dream sequences, because like, yeah, it's really hard to keep the guy threatening and also have them hang out for a romance. So there's always like, well, I guess he's gonna have to stay evil, and we're gonna have to have psychic dream sequences because otherwise she gonna get stabbed. And so there's a lot of reliance on like weird tropes to try and keep them dangerous but also romantic. So there's a lot of like weird gothic romance, like fantasy tropiness things that I have to keep doing, like, and insert another dream sequence.
So what tip have you got for someone who wants to write in that kind of world then, where they're trying to write a character that needs to try and stay the villain without making them too nice, because that does obviously ruin the whole premise?
The trick is making sure that you stay true to their motivations, because villains are a villain for a reason. Like they have a motivation in their head, but here's the other thing: they don't think they're a villain. Like they've maybe accepted the fact that everybody around them hates them, or maybe they haven't accepted that and that's part of their thing. But they don't wake up every morning being like, I'm the asshole. Like that's not how they think about themselves. Or if they do, maybe they wear that as a badge of pride. But they wake up and they feel like they need to be who they are, or they feel like they need to do the things that they're doing for a reason, or they feel justified in their actions, or like nobody wakes up the villain of their own life story is the quote that I use. So it's like, how did this person become like this? What is their motivation? And stay true to that and understand that motivation isn't going to change 100% instantaneously the moment they have sex. And it's like, Darcy, yes, 100%. Things can become different when they fall in love, but it's going to be a compromise. It has to be a meet in the middle situation. It's not like they're going to be like, well, I'm in love. I guess I don't want to destroy the world anymore, even though I've spent thousands of years with that being my sole motivation in the world. Yay! And it's like, that's when it really starts to feel kind of cheap, and it feels kind of like, oh, well, the power of love. And it just starts to feel a little like, okay, so this is a parable, and it's not, it starts to defeat that character's whole purpose and like modus operandi. It's like, if you want to stay true to them, how do you meet in the middle with that female character? It's like, how do you, or vice versa, if your villain's a female, or male or female, but like, how do you slowly rotate the tables to show their story from their point of view and get the audience to go, oh no, why are they making sense?
Well, I think we mentioned Romeo and Juliet in one of the shows the other week about the ending. And I think that's why it had to end the way it did, because once they were together, the motivations and the desperation and everything like that would be out the window. So I think the whole shift of the story would be completely different, and it wouldn't kind of work after that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's honestly, most of the time, the story is how far is the female character in my books willing to bend their morals to meet in the middle, and how far is the guy willing to bend the physics of his goals to be like, okay, I'm happy, but I didn't quite get what I wanted, but I think I'm okay. Like sometimes there's a little bit of like a stretch where they have to kind of like, my most popular series, The Unseelie Prince, which is the Maze of Shadows series. His whole goal is to destroy Earth, and he ends up locked in just eternal conflict with the main female character. That's their happy ending. And it's like by the end of but by the end of the series, you're kind of like, oh yeah, no, this perfectly works out for them. They just have a complicated relationship. That's just the whole. And everyone's like, I ship it, because you've spent 4 books being like, yeah, this is just how Fey logic works. Okay, anyway, moving on.
Yeah, well, on that then, what tips have you got for writers that are looking to try and bring characters together, but keep them very much on their individual paths as well, in terms of, they don't lose themselves in that connection? How do you do that as a writer?
You have to follow the characters. Like, you have to listen to them. Like, I'm very much a pantser, not a plotter. So, and I find that when people say they're a pantser, not a plotter, it means they're following the characters, not the story. And so the characters are generally leading the action when you're a pantser. And so you're not following so much and then Jimmy does this and Sally does that. You're following your characters around with an incident report and just following your people and going, hey, moron, what are you doing? And why? And occasionally you wind up going in circles going, who packed the plot? Oh, nobody. Great. Cool. And then you have to go home because nobody packed the plot. That has happened to me many times. And so when you ever try to force your characters to do something, or you say, well, I have to have this ending, so I'm going to make a character do something that they don't want to do, or I don't feel is legitimate to them. Like, if you have to listen to your characters and pay attention to what feels right for them. And if you don't know your characters, at least your main characters, on that intrinsic level, it isn't going to feel right when they make those kinds of choices. So to me, a pantser versus a plotter is just the difference between who is taking what part of your story is taking the lead. Is it your characters or is it your storyline? And for me, it's the characters that are taking the storylines, because they are so intricate and they have to be leading the dance because they have such an intricate interplay by the time they get to the ending. And if I let the story lead the dance, it starts to feel a little artificial.
Nice.
I've got a question I've never asked before, but I feel like I can ask it because of the nature of the book. As a writer, what's the difference between how you build romance and write romance, and then the sex scene element as well? How do you do that? So me and Chris have talked about how awkward it is for a writer sometimes to write a scene of a certain nature, and we've both tried it and probably failed miserably. So, it sounds daft me saying what's the difference between romance and sex, but on the page, what are you trying to do that's different there?
So honestly, a good example of this is working with Second Sky, I have to be a little bit of a plotter. I have to come up with an outline and a synopsis, because otherwise books get recycled and that can be frustrating. And so what will often end up happening is I will send an outline off and be like, and there will be sex scenes in here and they will happen when they naturally happen. And that is just how it flows for me, because again, I'm a pantser and the character moments happen when the character moments happen. So for me, it's sort of like, and then suddenly, well, okay, and now they're just going to, and now this, all right. And so it's very much natural in the way that two human beings are just gonna, you know, when they're getting romantic, are just gonna, you know. And so that's just sort of how it happens in the book. When I'm writing it, I don't think about like, I have not met my quota of precisely 2.75 scenes in this book. Occasionally, in retrospect, I will look at it and be like, well, there's like 5 in the first book and 0 in the second book. I should probably reader expectations and all. But so I will sit there and be like, is this an editing thing? Should I maybe go back and polish this? No pun intended. Cheers.
Yes, well done to that.
Welcome to being a romance writer. Everything's fun. Everything. My poor day job coworkers. I'm just like, everything that's what she said. Joke. I'm always making them die laughing in meetings.
Innuendo all the way.
Always.
Yes.
Always. And so anyway, so I try to just let things happen naturally like that, because also if you're trying to, again, while talking innuendo, if you're trying to shoehorn things in there, again, it feels inauthentic and it's not going to be an enjoyable experience for either me as the writer or for the people reading it, because it's going to be like, well, okay, why? And it won't flow naturally for anyone. I'm just going to leave that there before I get myself in trouble.
You won't on this show, trust us, we're fine.
I was going to say, how do you know where the cut-off point is? Because like I've read novels where they close the door and that's it. And then I've read ones where they go into a little tiny bit of detail, but then they stop. And then I've read others where I'm like, wow, this is like a whole chapter of a sex scene here. So again, from a writer's point of view, what are you trying to do in terms of like the craft of that? And when I said before about the romance, I'm just going to bring it back to that. How do you subtly develop a romance over the course of a series?
It depends on the characters. The characters, again, I let them sort of drive the show more often than I should. And the characters are often setting the pace and the tone. And I think sometimes, even as an author, I think sometimes I can't pick a lane because the characters are driving so much. Raziel and Nadi are so stabby and so after each other that this book is a lot steamier than some of my other books because of just the dynamic between these two and the way that they went after each other. If you were to pick up a book like the Iron Crystal series, those characters are a little bit more standoffish in the beginning because of just their characters and the way that they're much more of a true slow burn. They take a lot longer to sort of get into each other. Again, that's what she said. And like, it's about what feels authentic to the characters, their situation, their personalities. And it's not just like, okay, now Kish. And it's like, it takes exactly 78 pages. And it's like, you have to figure out how long it's going to take these characters to do it, again, naturally, because of how the innuendo, again, I don't know how to talk about this without literally just going for it.
We could do this all day. I mean, yeah.
And that's literally what I do. So the dynamics between different characters when you're building the romance, you've built them into a situation, you've hopefully set them up with enough conflict that what I try to do is I have my characters that I've built up, I put them in a cardboard box, and then I've shaken the cardboard box, and I've basically got 2 feral cats in there, and I'm just like, and I'm just like, okay, now what are they going to do? And I'm just writing that incident report. And so what those 2 cats in that cardboard box, which is all the world building I've done, is going to be different depending on the series, depending on their situation, depending on all of the side characters I've given them, and it's just going to be nuts depending on how it all goes and how it all evolves. So it is different for every single series, every single character set. Schrodinger's naughty cats. Yes, exactly. Schrodinger's naughty cats. And I think that's what's so much fun about starting a new series is like, okay, so what are these two psychopaths gonna do to me this time? Like, how crazy are these people going to be? And that's what's also fun about villains, is because they can be so unpredictable and they can go anywhere, do anything, and will do anything. They will burn the world down. They will burn somebody else's world down. They will kill people. They have killed people. They will do literally anything. And so because of that, like, I had Simon, the character from Harrow Fair, I was in the second book and the female character had just become immortal and she hadn't quite accepted it yet. And so I had like 4 chapters planned where the other characters were going to gently step her through the process of, I'm so sorry, you're stuck in this circus forever and you can't ever leave and you can't die. And then I realized the psychopath still had the gun she brought. And so he was like, I'm bored, and shot her in the chest. And I was like, well, there goes 4 chapters of work, because I was like, that's an authentic thing he would do. And I have to follow the character. And so you just have to let them drive. And it's like, and she broke his nose with a frying pan at one point, and yet they still got together, but not until book 3. And it's like, it's just a slow burn. So sometimes they get it on in book 1. Sometimes it takes them till book 3. And you just got to let it happen in the natural course of action.
Yes, we do. Brilliant. Okay, what we're going to do, we are enjoying the conversation.
Yes,
we are passing the moments where we need to do little bits. So we're going to play a little advert now about the Kindle Storyteller Award. Indie authors, pay attention. We have until Sunday to enter this if you are going to do that. And it's a very simple thing to earn you £20,000 if you become the winner of that. We have recently interviewed recent winners of that. We're going to play a little trailer. So please do, if you're tempted, just do it. You never know. So here we go with a little trailer, and we'll be right back after this. Hey writers, what if Hit and Publish could earn you a massive £20,000?
Oh, yeah, imagine. Well, you don't need to imagine, because that's exactly what's on offer with Amazon's Kindle Storyteller Award 2025. This amazing literary prize is back for its 9th year, and it's open to anyone who self-publishes a book like Kindle Direct Publishing in any genre.
Any genre. Yeah, whether you've written your first or your 10th novel, it doesn't matter. If it's unpublished and written in English, then you can enter that award with a chance of winning.
Yeah, and it's really easy to enter. So just publish your book through Kindle Direct Publishing between the 1st of May and the 31st of August, and make sure it's enrolled in KDP Select.
Yep, I think you'd be absolutely mad not to, as a £20,000 prize would help any author boost their career massively. And our previous guest and last year's winner, JD Kirk, said that it took his career to the next level after winning that award and taking it home.
Yeah, and it did. These books are everywhere. So in order to enter, head to amazon.co.uk/storyteller to find out more. The Kindle Storyteller Award is open now. So publish, enter, and get your story out there.
Yeah, we'll support you all the way. You know we will do that. So we'll leave you with this. Good luck. The WCCS, together as one, we get it done. So there you go. Be sure to enter if you are tempted, and let us know if you have done. We can support you the best we can, and good luck if you are. So back to it. Now we're going to talk all about the brand new book that was released today. Very exciting. The Serpent's Bride. Can you let everybody know what that's all about, please?
Oh, you've asked an author what their book is about. That's like author kryptonite.
Especially when you're on book 3.
Right. So the book is about, so it is a dark vampire mafia romantasy, It is like word salad if you try to describe all the genres it touches. So Raziel Nostrum is a dark vampire mafia lord, and he's got mind control powers. He's a lot of fun. And then he's offset by Nadi, who is a fae shapeshifter, who she's hell-bent to kill him and his entire family because he ruined her life. So she finds out that he's set to marry a woman he's never met. So she arranges to take her place. And so she basically bribes the woman to like run away. And she takes her face and her identity and infiltrates the Nostrum family, and murderous stabby shenanigans ensue from there. And they are way more fun than they had any right to be to go into. Because I was like, okay, fae shape-shifting assassin, vampire mafia lord, dark romantasy, word salad, what is this? I was like, okay, whatever. Oh, why are they this much fun? Oh no. And they are just way too entertaining together. And Nadi in particular, usually I have to give my female characters like a sidekick to talk to because they need like a squishable or a hug, like something, because they're like up against some sort of dark lord of the universe, and they're just like, I'm a normal person, what is happening? So they need like someone to talk to, and she doesn't. She's just like, nah, I just need to stab it. I just need to stab it to death. And so she's just, her inner monologue is just so much fun.
So it's a very unique blend, like you mentioned, with Vampire Mafia, Forbidden Love, Vengeance. Yeah. It's all a big cauldron of excitement. So was it purely based on the fact that you said you're pansting, that it just, the characters led you into this whole sort of world of chaos?
Yeah. No, it was, okay, so you've got these characters, here's the situation, and I didn't have anybody else for her to talk to, so who would she be? And it's sort of like, here are the building blocks, now go.
Yeah.
And so I just sat there and I was like, all right, so she's been working as an assassin in this weird pseudo art deco metropolis, like layer upon layer of this like pseudo, it's like this weird dystopian city built upon this island that is like trying to hold back this encroaching like wild of just nature that's trying to consume it, that's being ruled by humans and vampires. And the fae are like this like weird race of like creatures that are being relegated to the underground and like being forced into the outside of the city. So like there's this whole wall that they can't go outside of in the metropolis. And so nobody, like the fae are not allowed like above ground. And so she's always masquerading as a human. So she's been running around the city for 80 years as an assassin. So this is all old hat for her. And so she's been studying these people. She knows him. She's been following him like a shadow. And so I'm just like, oh, she is jaded AF. Like, this is going to be great. Like, all right.
I was going to say, how much of your characters, it sounds like quite a lot, but how much of your characters do you need to know before you actually start to get words on the page?
I do a lot of world building. I do a lot. So, like I said, I sort of like have my characters and then I build their cardboard box. So I do a lot of structure building for the world, even if I don't do a lot of structure building for the story itself. So I build their like stage, right? Like, so I have to have a really solid set for them to play on, because even if nobody else sees it, like even if it never makes it onto the page, I need to know the world rules. Because otherwise I might end up contradicting myself. And even if like, this is why I always like to write a book ahead of publication, especially as a pantser, because this has happened to me where I've written something that has changed something a book prior and gone, whoops, I've just retconned an entire book. And I've had to go back and like made sure that I haven't screwed anything up. And one of the other things I try to do is, as a pantser, is always make sure you know your ending.
Yeah.
And if you ever lose your ending, hit the emergency stop button immediately. Stop writing, reestablish your ending, and then keep going. Like, do not keep, like, don't be like, I'll figure it out when I get there. was 2 books into my Dracula duet. I thought it was going to be a trilogy. I got 2 books through it, realized I had no ending anymore, had to recycle 2 books, start at the very beginning.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's like, do not, if you are a pantser, for the love of God, always make sure you have your ending. I don't care if you don't know how you're getting there, but make sure your ending is still solid. If you
And you mentioned,
Have you ever, with writing a book, have you ever had that point where you got the ending in mind, but your characters are taking you into such a strange direction that you're like, oh, how do I even get back to that point?
I just follow them. I'm like, okay, guys. I'm like, I still think this. If you still think the ending is viable, if you still think it's like, yeah, we're going left, but I still think we can get to the ending somehow, but I don't know how we're going to get there. Just follow them, see where they're going. It might be magic. If at some point they get to somewhere where it completely invalidates the ending, stop, come up with a new ending. Because where they're leading you is better than where you thought you were going.
nice.
Obviously, being published and knowing that the publisher is going to want maybe a certain length or a certain word count, does that have a play into mind? Because I can imagine, let's say it was 100,000 words and you were 70,000 words in, and then you've only got 30,000 words left to get to that point that you're after. Does that ever like go into the process where you have to then go back, maybe switch a few things around, shorten bits, so you can have that word count? Or do you still follow the characters to the ending, knowing that you've got that 30,000 words or whatever?
I really try to stay true to the book as much as possible, even if that means I have to go to the editor and be like, hey, hi, sorry about this. Or even if I have to be like, I don't think this is going to be 3 books. I think it's 4. Or I don't think it's 4. I think it's going to be 3. And oftentimes they will work with you because they understand. Like a lot of these people have been through it, or they're writers themselves, or they get it, or they will be like, cool, let's see how we can make this work. And they will negotiate. Like, publishers are not evil. They are human beings, and they will sit down and they will work with you. And they might be able to see things that you don't. Like a lot of the stuff that came out in the series that is genius came from my editor, because I could not see the forest for the trees. Because I'm in it, literally wandering in circles with my characters being like, I don't know what's going on. And my editor was like, have you noticed that there's an exit? And I'm like, oh, thanks, Jack. And I just like, it's just right there. So it's always good to have someone that's there to just help you.
Yeah.
And that's something that an editor can do that an author can't, because you're just so in it, you know?
Yeah, we get a lot of people watching the show that are writers as well. How does that process work in terms of like, you know, when you're writing a book and you get into that point, you pitch the book first and the ideas, and then you get to a certain point and send it to your editor? Like, how does that process work?
It depends. It depends. Sometimes I'll have a story and I very much want it my way. And if the editor doesn't want it, I will self-publish it. If it's a story and I go, hey, I think this is something we could work on together, we'll workshop it together because it's something they think they believe in. Other times I'll go to my editor and go, what do you guys want that I think I can write? And we'll workshop something together. That's very much how Serpent's Bride went. And they were like, we think we could do something with this. And I'm like, that sounds weird. I'm into weird. And so that's where the story came from.
I love that.
Yeah. No, it was, I'm always up for trying new things. And so it's fun to sort of see the different ways the processes work.
I just wanted to ask that you mentioned that this book is a little bit saucier than your previous ones. How is that being received by your readers?
I don't know yet. I think good. I always keep my sex scenes kind of on the tasteful side. You asked earlier, Hooli, because CJ and other Chris, because you're both Chris. So there's like tasteful, closed door, like, you know, won't someone think of the children? And then there's like full after 2 a.m. like TV adverts. I try to keep it HBO. Like, if you can watch HBO, you can probably, you know, it's not going to be anything that's fully shocking to people. I am getting more and more into monster romance by benefit of the people whose books I read, so it's getting a little bit friskier as time goes on. But I try to keep the language that I use at least tasteful, because there are certain crass words that will get thrown in as far as descriptors goes that always just like rips me right out of the fiction, that I'm just like, you can allude to what it is and we all get what you're saying here. You don't need to drop like all of the 4-letter words in there that we all know, because it's like, it's not in keeping with the rest of the fiction. And it's like, well, now I'm just giggling because I'm a 12-year-old boy. So I'm just laughing because you said tit in the middle of this thing, and I'm laughing now. So I just try to keep it, classy.
I just had a quick look at the reviews on there already, and one of them states how amazing the narration is on the audiobook. Did you have much input to that?
I like to let other artists have fun with the thing that I try to do the most, and I work with a lot of voice actors in the day job as well, is like, once somebody gets something to then put their brushstroke on, be free.
Yeah.
Right. And so once an audiobook narrator has been chosen, I'm out of the process. As far as I'm concerned, pronounce the names however you think they sound bad.
Yeah. Definitely.
Oh, left out for a second, but I'm back. Desiree is brilliant, and I have listened to it, and it's all fantastic.
Yeah.
And a lot of audiobook narrators bring their own flavor to the characters. They bring their own accents, and it's like, if you get the right audiobook narrator, just let them run free. Just cut them loose and let them go. They're their own artists,
Absolutely. All right, guys. We've got just under 10 minutes left, which is it's flying by. So we're going to ask our staple questions, but if you do have questions, please send them in now and we'll try and ask them. But Chris, do you want to start us off with our staple questions?
So one of the staple questions that we have is, if you could take any character from fiction and make that character your own, which character would you choose and what would you do with them?
I feel like it's cheating to say Dracula because he's, public domain, and I've done that. But like, I want him to just be mine. Like, just gimme. Gimme. Yeah, I'm gonna just have to stick with Dracula. He's just too good. He's just too good, and he's just too much fun. That's so flattered. Thank you, Noelle.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Stick with him.
Yoink. Phantom of the Opera is another one that I would steal and run away with. I think he is most people's introduction to villain romance, even though he's just more angsty romance than he is villain romance. But he's most people's starter for that. And
yeah, definitely. I was going to say with that, do you know what you're writing about when you're writing? Like, not just this book, but lots of, like, all your writing. We've asked that a few times. It's quite a tricky question in terms of, like, you've obviously got this appeal in a very niche area of writing. So is there something under the surface that you, on reflection of a few books, you think, oh, I'm actually writing about this?
There are times that I'm including themes on purpose. Other times there are themes that I look back and I go, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that is an allegory for this that I completely, utterly missed. Other times, what I tend to include accidentally a lot is inclusion for disabilities. Both myself, because I have disabilities, and I have friends who are disabled. I tend to include them just by default because I'm like, well, everybody's broken, right? So I'm just like, and this person has this problem because we all are broken. And everyone's like, you're so inclusive. And I'm like, I am. Because I just take it for granted that a lot of people don't have random physical ailments that clog their day up. So that is something that I just tend to de facto include. But I don't generally go in trying to make a statement because I find then I'm trying too hard. I let the statements be made, and I let people draw those conclusions where they may.
Nice.
Okay. If you could take the ending of anything in the world of fiction, be a TV show, a movie, or a book, and change the ending, what ending are you going to change and why?
Okay, I'm going to have to go with Law of Recency. We just rewatched, for research's sake, the entire Deadwood series on HBO. I don't know if you're a fan. I got really upset because the ending of Deadwood season 3 was kind of crappy because they got canceled unexpectedly, and then they got a chance to do a movie. And then they did the whole movie, which was basically just the ending of season 3 again. Because when you watch them back to back, and because there was like a decade in between them, and so most people were like, yay, it's been a decade. We get to see our favorite characters again. They didn't, most people watching it probably didn't realize that they just redid all of the plot points from the end of season 3 again in the movie, and then didn't resolve anything that they didn't resolve in season 3. So it just redid the whole problems over again. And I was like, what are you doing? Why?
It's like a giant
Why?
recap.
Yeah, it was a giant recap that went nowhere. And then all they succeeded was kill one character. And I was like, why did we just sit? I mean, it was nice to see all the characters aged. That's nice. Thank you.
Anya says she was so upset about that as well.
Yeah. And I was just like, wait a minute. So this character is still in this situation. This character is still in this situation. They've rebuilt, they've reset this, they've reset that, and now this guy's dead. Great. Awesome. Why did we just watch this for an hour and a half? So I would take that and, maybe write some plot that happened. Anything. Maybe. Because the characters in that show were so good. Talk about a show that existed on vibes only. And just amazing characters. Nothing happens for that last season. Amazing show. Zero plot action.
Excellent. All right, we got a couple of questions in there. We'll ask those quickly. If you could take a writer's retreat anywhere, where would it be?
Honestly, I was recently in England, and it's just awesome. I loved London. I would probably go back to London for a writer's retreat. I think there's so many cool places to go, cool old things to see, great food. I would go back to London for a writer's retreat.
Nice.
I think there's just stuff that's like food for thought, because I'm a people watcher.
Yeah.
And I'm not like a go on a retreat on like a distant shore where there's no people. I need to go see things, get input, and then go write kind of person.
Yeah. Thanks for the question, Anya. She said Edinburgh is also awesome.
Oh, yeah.
For similar reasons.
Nice.
And Noelle, thank you. She says, if you could write in any other genre, what would it be? And added, not cowboy romance.
Oh, Noelle, you're gonna be so sad. Although I think that series is gonna be self-published, so I think you're safe there. Because I think I'm going to hell, but I think it's gonna be a sneaky Western, so I think you're gonna be safe. I don't know what a sneaky Western is, but it's one that creeps up on you. If I could write in any other genre, I feel like sci-fi is cheating because that is my day job. You know what? I think I wish I could do like straight up like murder mysteries. Like straight up good murder mysteries, like Knives Out style, really good whodunits. Like those are so much fun. And I love that kind of stuff. I just don't think I got it in me. But that would be a lot of fun to write. It's just also not my genre, and it's also probably a very crowded genre. I wouldn't know where to start, but that
Would you ever think of maybe putting your own spin on it in terms of having the same sort of concept of like Knives Out, but adding the monster element in there and having, I'm thinking Mary Shelley went to a retreat, that type of style.
Oh yeah,
with some monsters thrown in might work quite nicely.
That would be fun. The ghost story that I told, the slappening, that's the name that I called the thing that happened with the guy who, I actually took the slap out of that story. I went back and edited the series because I have no problem triggering people, but I want to make it on purpose, and I didn't mean to, so I went back and took that out. So I call that the slappening. That actually kind of was a mystery because it was like she was trying to uncover what was going on. And I had a lot of fun with that. So doing more mystery elements in a story, I think, would be kind of fun. But they're hard to write because you have to know the answer. It has to be a legit mystery that you are drip feeding to the audience. So they have to be solvable mysteries. But you have to be drip feeding them to the audience in such a way that, like, they can't solve it until the end, but they could have solved it if they were smart enough. Which means that some people will solve it immediately, and some people will get to the ending and be like, I still don't get it. And so there's like a bell curve of people that, like, that's why mysteries are hard. It's like designing an escape room. It's like some people will never get it, and some people will get it in 7 seconds. So it's like, how do you design? Sorry, the game designer in me is coming out.
Yeah, I love that. So we might have a couple more questions, but before we go, where can people stalk you on all social media? Where can they buy your books and things like that?
Yeah, so you can find me obviously on Amazon. If you just search for Katherine Ann Kingsley, you can find me at katherinekingsley.com. You can find me at Instagram at /Katherine Ann Kingsley. I have a Discord where I'm there all the time. And so you can find that link on my website. And so if you want to come ask me weird questions, you can come do that at any point. I'm always there. Yeah, so hit me up on my website that has all of my socials and a contact form. Yeah, so buy my book. Okay, thanks.
I love that. Stalking in the shadows of Discord all day and night. Yes.
And obviously, we mentioned briefly Second Sky, so I'm just going to say it again. But if you had to recommend an author from Second Sky that your readership might enjoy, who would you recommend and why?
The author who wrote Phantasma, Kaylee Smith, her book is fantastic. And I'm sure most of the people who are going to pick up my stuff are going to pick up their stuff. So her book is fantastic. It's about a necromancer, basically, and the ghosts that are like, it's fantastic. And it's very much in the same paranormal vibe. And it's just taken off. It's a New York Times bestseller. So again, it's going to lap me many times over. So again, it will be a reverse feed. But that stuff is just always up my alley.
Brilliant. Yeah, we love a good recommendation. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. What I'd like to say then, finally, before we do wrap this up, is massive congratulations to you on this release today. And like a lot of people do, they breeze through, they're on book 3 and they haven't celebrated. Have you celebrated this book?
Not yet. We had delivery sushi yesterday. It is also Saturday is my 10th wedding anniversary with my husband. So we're going to celebrate that tomorrow night. So it'll be like a joint celebration.
Amazing.
But yeah.
Yeah. So happy anniversary and congratulations on your release.
Thank you.
Yeah, do enjoy and celebrate the little milestones, everybody. Not little, this is a big milestone. But yeah, I'm glad to know you're working on book 3. When can your readers expect book 2?
Book 2, I believe, launches in January. It's already up for pre-order, so I think the date will be up there now. So,
So if you're new to Katherine today, and you want to check this series out, book 1, go buy it today. Help the release, the launch, and pre-order book 2 already. Do that. Thank you, and again, thank you everyone in the chat for your comments and your questions. But what's that noise?
Oh, that's the they've lapped the house. So.
I've been watching them behind your head. It's been great.
Yeah, I apologize.
Not at all. It's been fantastic. And yeah, thank you for the comments. Actually, this question now, it's been bugging me, Chris, but we've got to ask it. It's the looking back question, and you're the expert at that question, Chris. So can you ask that one before we finish up?
Yeah, so I'll just reiterate some of the things that people have said. Great interview. Really sounds really interesting. Congratulations on the release. Happy anniversary. Phantasma is excellent. Spoiler alert from Noelle there as well. Lots of congratulations. And yeah, we're going to bring it back to a bit of a morbid element, which is you're on your deathbed. You're looking back at your writing career. What would you be happy with? What is success to you?
I'm waiting for the guy who's slowly. It's like he's started over there and he's slowly making his way that way.
What's interestingly is they left 10 minutes ago. Whoa.
Yeah.
I used to be a tour guide. Don't get me started. I could go on about the Winchester Mystery House, San Jose, and I didn't even work there. So if you asked me when I started publishing in 2019 what success looked like, and you showed me a picture of now, it would be success. If you asked me now, am I successful? I would go, That's the thing that's tricky, isn't it? Is because success always feels relative. And I think I have a critical case of like envy is my sin, right? Like I'm always looking at somebody else and always comparing myself to somebody else's success. And I don't feel successful, even though I know authors would look at me and go, I wish I was successful as Kat. And I look at other people and I go, oh, but look at how well their book sold and how many reviews they have and how well that did. I wish I had that. And it's all, sometimes it just comes down to luck, and it just comes down to the day your book launched, and did it get marketed right on that right day, and did the stars align, and did someone post your thing on TikTok randomly? It's like my first book that went viral because some random lady in Malaysia did some dub over video, and then it went to 18 on TikTok, and now because of that I have a job working in video games writing for a living. Like it was just chance that did it. And it's like you spend your entire life building lightning rods for success, and every time you write a book you're building a lightning rod. And so I feel successful because I haven't given up building lightning rods yet, and I'm getting better at building those lightning rods. So I can understand the fact that like I'm comparing myself to other people. So that's why I don't necessarily feel as successful as I feel like I should. I think, though, the fact that over the past couple of years, I've been able to become a full-time writer in my day job and also continue to write novels is something that I never dreamed I would be able to do. And I don't know if you could call that anything but success. Even if it isn't to the degree that I'm like, yes, I have a Netflix special, you know what I mean? Like whatever. Everything is relative.
Yeah, brilliant. No, it's a very profound response, and we've never had the sort of lightning rod scenario, but I definitely agree with that in terms of, you know, you're putting them out there. Each one, you never know what the longevity is going to be with those lightning rods. So yeah, keep going.
Brilliant. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Again, if you can, hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. Other like-minded people will find the show. They'll support us, they'll support our authors, and that will help grow the community. So please, can you do that? We would much appreciate that. But all we can say is, Katherine, you've been absolutely wonderful. Brilliant conversation. The fact that you said you're a tour guide and the video games aspect, I'm sure there's another conversation in there, especially Halloween creeping up. We can get you back on, I'm sure. But thank you so much. You've been a wonderful guest. I love your story. I love what you're doing. So all the best from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. And don't forget to join us tomorrow because we have another live show with Adele Parks. And yeah, we'd love to see your faces again before the weekend is finished. So yeah, enjoy Friday.
Yes.
Come and see us.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.